Alright, we're going to start this session off with Ace Jack of Diamonds. Person middle position raises to 3x. Here we are, it folds down to the small blind folds. We're going to call. Flop comes top kicker, we're going to go ahead and check it. And they bet, we're going to go ahead and call. We don't have a spade here, so we're going to check. They bet, and we're not going to waste anymore. We're just going to go ahead and fold. Alright, next hand we got King 10 offsuit. We're going to go ahead and 2.5x raise here under the gun. We get 1, 2 callers. Let's see, 7, 7 jack. We're going to go ahead and check it here. You could put in a bet, but we're going to go ahead and check. And now we hit our king, so we're going to go ahead and value bet our king, and we get a fold. Alright, ace queen in the small blind. We get 1 limper, and it folds to us, so we're going to go ahead and 2.5x raise, our standard raise here, and we get 1 caller. This is a good spot to continuation bet, so that's what we're going to do, and we get a caller. At this point, you can either bet or check. We're going to go ahead and check here, play it a little sneaky, and this is a good card to bluff at, make our opponent think we have a jack. We're going to go 3/4 pot. They're thinking, and they're going to fold, so we got the bluff through. Alright, 8-7 suited under the gun. We're going to go ahead and raise this to 2.5x. We like suited connectors. Alright, we didn't flop much here. We did flop a straight draw. We need a 6 to fill our straight, so we're going to go ahead and bet half pot. They call, and we're going to continue on, try to bluff this pot off. So we go 3/4 pot, and bad news, they go all in. That was not the best play. Our opponent played that pretty smart, and they took it. Alright, so the next hand we're in the small blind with King 5 of diamonds. Not the best hand, but if we're getting a cheap price, then we'll go ahead and play this one. As you can see, it's looking like it could be a limped pot because we have a lot of people that started in and posted their blinds, so we'll see if we get a good discount. Alright, and this guy's taking forever. He folds, get check, limp, and we're just going to go ahead and continue on here since it's cheap and it's suited. Alright, we flop Yahtzee. We got 2 pair, top 2 pair, and we check it just to play a little sneaky, see what we can do. And our opponent bets 3/4. We're going to go ahead and put in about a 2.5x raise here to protect our equity. We don't want any hands sucking out on us like an ace 2 or a potential better ace sucking out. Alright, we bought 8-7 suited again. We're going to go ahead and raise that up to 2.5x under the gun. And we get the guy on our left that just loves to fucking call. Alright. Fold. Alright. 7. We flop a pair, so we're going to go ahead and bet our pair, 3/4 pot, see if we can get that taken down right away. And we get a fold. Alright. Now we're on the button next hand with 9-10 offsuit. This is a fun hand to play when in late position, 9-10 offsuit, and we can see what kind of action we get here. Everybody's limped so far, so we'll probably follow the norm and just go ahead and limp here. No reason to raise just yet. Alright, we get a fold. We're just going to go ahead and limp in for 2 so that we can see a flop here. Alright, here comes the flop. We flop top pair. Let's see. So we get, someone bets 6, they get called, and then now there's an all-in. So we do have top pair here, but top pair doesn't really mean all that much in this type of situation. Too much beats us, so we're going to have to fold here. And honestly, I don't see how anybody's going to call. This feels like an ace-high flush draw that you just don't want to get involved in. And they do fold. Alright, next hand we're on the button with King-Queen offsuit. This one we will go ahead and call this 7-cent raise just to see a flop. We have a pretty strong holding here with king queen offsuit, so we'll have to see what happens. Alright, so at this point we flop a straight draw. We need a 9 or an ace to fill our straight. A 10 comes, not really much going on here. We're going to have to fold. We called one bet, but unfortunately, you know, an over bet like this is just, there's not enough math to call, so we're going to go ahead and fold. Alright, so we got the big pocket pair. We got pocket aces. We're going to go ahead and raise that under the gun to 2.5x. Hopefully we get some action on it. It's going to fold all the way down to the button. We're going to see what happens here. And the button calls, and the big blind's going to call. So we got two callers here, and it's an excellent flop. We have still an overpair. We're going to go ahead and raise this up to see if we can build a pot and see if we can get the most value, since we do have an overpair and the nut flush draw here. And we take it down on the flop, so that was a victory there. Now we have ace queen offsuit in middle position. We're going to go ahead and raise that to 7. That's more than I have been. I tried to see if I could, you know, isolate to get the guy on my left out, but it didn't work because he loves to call. Alright, so at this point we're going to go ahead and bet half pot to see what happens here. Continuation bet, but then we hit our queen on the turn. So at this point we're going to bet half pot again and continue on, see if we can get some more value, but they fold. Alright, so this hand we got pocket jacks in middle position. This hand was a doozy. Very interesting hand. We'll just have to watch and see how it plays out here. Alright, so we get one limper. We're going to go ahead and raise this up to 8. We have quite a few people that are trying to be in this pot that we don't want anybody to suck out on us. So we go ahead and raise it up to 8. Of course, the guy on our left calls. That's the thing that he likes to do. So the flop comes and we hit Yahtzee. We hit our set, but there is a flush draw here and a potential straight draw. So we got to tread lightly. They bet about 60% pot. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a 2.5x raise here to protect our equity. Put this guy all in and try to get the guy on my left out so that we can take this pot down. But the bad news is that he calls, so that's a little dangerous. So at this point, we have about a 3/4 size bet back, so we're going to go all in. Let's see if he's really got it. And he's got a pair of 6s, so we take that down with the guy on our left, but the guy on our right was on a flush draw and he hit it, so we chopped that pot. Alright, so the next hand, Jack 10 offsuit under the gun, we're going to go ahead and raise that to 2.5x. Some people might say that's a pretty loose raise under the gun, but in a cash game setting, I think it's totally fine. If we were playing a tournament, I would say that would be a little bit loose. You might want to play that a little bit tighter, especially, you know, with your blinds potentially being high and all that kind of thing. But in a cash game setting, I think it's totally acceptable. So we got this guy that's taken quite a while to decide. Might have lost connection, but sometimes that happens here. But yeah, well, this will be an interesting hand. When you go under the gun, it really does show strength. So somebody might think that I have better than what I have. All right, so he folds. It folds all the way to the small blind. Small blind calls. And let's see, and the big blind calls. So we got 3 ways to a flop, and I flop top pair here with rainbow, no flush draw, which is good. So we're going to go ahead and place a bet of about half pot, see if we can get some value or potentially take down the pot here. It looks like the small blind's thinking, and everybody folds. So we take that down on the flop. The next hand we have Jack 9 offsuit in the small blind. Everybody limps, so we're just going to go ahead and call. And at this point we flop middle pair, so we're going to go ahead and bet half pot here. It's unlikely somebody has the ace because nobody raised, and somebody could have a flush draw. So we hit our jack here, which is great, and we're going to go ahead and check it to kind of protect our hand and see what they have. And at this point I definitely feel I have the best hand, so we're going to go ahead and value bet for 3/4 pot, and we get paid off. So that was the best situation, and we got paid off on trips jacks. All right, so the next hand we got ace 3 of hearts. This is going to be interesting. So we flop top pair. They bet 10, and 10 gets called. This, we don't have any hearts, and we have a terrible kicker. Unfortunately, we are going to fold, and you guys are going to think that was a very tight fold because now we have 2 pair, but look how this escalates. So now a flush draw comes in, any 4 makes a straight, and this guy gets check raised to $1.50 on the river, which is just not what you want to see. So good thing we got out. Next hand we got king queen offsuit under the gun. We're going to go ahead and raise that to 2.5x. And we get called by the guy on our left, of course. Guy in middle position. Then we get raised. So we get basically 4 bet. And that's just not what we want to see. We're going to fold. There's too many hands that could have us dead. That seemed like a potential ace steal. So we fold. Tight fold maybe, but I think I'm happy with that. Alright, so the next hand, it looks like a limped in pot. We have jack 3 suited with suited clubs. So sometimes on these hands we like to see a flop as long as it's cheap, similar to the king 5 of diamonds that you saw earlier. So as long as everybody limps, we're going to go ahead and stay in on this pot just to see if we might flop, you know, the jack, 2 pair, maybe even a flush draw. So on this flop, we do flop top pair, but any 10 or any queen, queen 10 could have made it on the flop, flopped Yahtzee, anything like that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is place a bet if nobody bets and see if we can build a pot for anybody that's drawing right now. So we get 1 fold. Looks like this guy's thinking. Fold, fold. And a fold, so we take that down. Alright, next hand we're in middle position with pocket 8s. Depending on how this guy does, we're going to raise this, of course. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and raise this up to 3x. I'm not really sure why I did 3x here, usually 2.5x, or you know, sometimes I try to stay in the 2.5x to 4x range depending on what's going on, but 2.5x is what I usually recommend. But so we do the 6x, we get 2 callers, and it's 2-4 king. We're going to go ahead and put it in a half pot bet to see where we're at in this hand and see, you know, kind of evaluate our opponent. So they call, that's a little alarming, so we're going to go ahead and check it here. And then our opponent checks it back. They check, and we're just going to check it back here. You know, you could say that we played that passively, but I think we did okay. All right, so last hand of the session. Pocket aces in early position. This is going to be great. This is exactly what we want. And this is a good opportunity to trap some people. So we're going to go ahead and raise to 2.5x, and we get raised. Boy, my mouth is watering at this point because this is exactly what you want. We get 2 callers for that raise. And now we have a guy up top that is thinking what he's going to do. Could we get re-raised? That's what we want. Could we get re-raised? And we do. So they're going to raise it. Now at this point, the best course of action is, you know what? Let's go all in. Because if we go all in, if they fold, then we take down a good-sized pot pre-flop. But if they call, that we have the absolute best hand to start out. There's no better hand than pocket aces, obviously. So mathematically, we're going to be ahead of anybody by a significant amount. And great news, they have queens. And the run out finishes, and we have a full house. We'll take it. And that's how we decided to double up on this session. Thank you guys for watching. Please go ahead and like and subscribe. It does help the channel out. And stay tuned for next week's video.